Culture that causes people to think that hijab is only for a female.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say to brothers out there who criticize like everything they see about sister or hijab color, this, that, but when it comes to when they go on holiday topless, when it's summertime, they don't cover properly? Like, what message would you get to them?
I'll say take a leaf out of your own book first, man. You know, Quran says don't be a hypocrite, don't contradict yourself. We don't wear our heart on our sleeve no more, man. So a lot of brothers, man, fix up yourself.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
So the verses of hijab had been revealed, and therefore I would travel in a hawdaj. A hawdaj. What is a hawdaj? It's a mini tent, if you like. We all are familiar with it, and it's basically something you put on the camel, and it is an envelope. It's like a small tent that a person can sit inside. Canopy, something you put on the camel. It's a canopy that a person can sit in. And to this day, some cultures, they use it, a person is carried in it or something. We see it on television. In the old days, people would carry a nobleman, 4 people would carry. This is the hawdaj. And then you put it on the camel. Now,
the second is a verse that directly speaks to the Prophet's wives, asking that they begin to dress a bit more modestly because of their role, their function in society as his wives.
The hijab of the Prophet's wives was extra. The hijab of the Prophet's wives was extra. And the wives of the Prophet, they had to be covered not just in their personal body, but their space as well had to be covered. And this was only for the wives of the Prophet, and this is explicit in the Quran. Explicit in the Quran. The Quran says, وَإِذَا سَأَلْتُمُوهُنَّ مَتَاعًا فَاسْأَلُوهُنَّ مِنْ وَرَاءِ حِجَابٍ. If you ask the wives of the Prophet for anything, if you talk to them, speak to them from behind a hijab. And this is what Aisha is saying, that this incident of Muraisi' took place after the verses of hijab. The term hijab in the Quran, I'm going into a tangent here, but it's something we should know, it's very important. The term hijab in the Quran does not mean headscarf. In our vernacular, it means a headscarf. We say, does she wear hijab? I started wearing the hijab, means the headscarf. This is modern Arabic, which is fine, not a problem. Quranic Arabic, the hijab meant a physical curtain that separates the entire body, not just on your body. It's a curtain between you and the speaker. This is the Quranic usage of hijab. And this usage of hijab, according to the Quran, only the wives of the Prophet ﷺ have to enforce that type of hijab.
Early records show that the custom, the fashion during the pre-Islamic era was for women to wear a scarf on the head called a khimar, which would be tucked behind the ears and allowed to flow behind the back. In the front, a woman wore a tight vest or a bodice, which she left open, exposing her breasts, sort of like the images you see in Game of Thrones. When Islam spread through the Arabian Peninsula, a verse was sent down asking that women use this scarf or any other garment to cover the breasts. And that's it. That's basically all there is in the Quran concerning how a woman should dress. Turns out, God doesn't give a bullet point of all the parts on a woman's body that he wants hidden from view.
As for the headscarf, the Quran references this with the term khimar. With the term khimar. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. Let them wear their khimar, khumur, plural of khimar, over their juyub, which is their bosoms. Their scarves should cover their chests as well. Because the women of Jahiliyyah, by the way, they would wear headscarves, by the way. The women of Jahiliyyah would wear a headscarf. Every respectable, dignified lady would cover her hair, just like in America 100 years ago. Impossible for a dignified lady. Only the peasants and the rural people without money, without education, they would be without. And the same in Arabia. Every single lady of respect and of middle class would wear a headscarf. But, just like in America as well, the headscarf would be thrown back and the dresses get lower and lower. You get the point, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no. When you wear the headscarf, cover the bosom. وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ. Right? So anyway, the point here, Aisha says the verses of hijab had been revealed. And by this we mean an extra layer above and beyond the khimar, above and beyond the jilbab, which is another Quranic term, right? يا أيها النبي يا قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. That's another verse. So the khimar and jilbab is mentioned for all women. The mothers of the believers, the wives of the prophets, the daughters of the Prophet, and all of the women. Khimar and jilbab. And this is what our sisters wear. For the wives of the Prophet, there's only the hijab. Now, a reason I say this, by the way, and it's very important, I know it's not directly related. These days you will hear some modernists or progressives say, the hijab was only for the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is a technically true statement that is intended for something false. This is a technically true statement. كلمة حق أريد بها باطل. It's a true statement, but something evil is intended through it. It is true. The Quranic hijab is only for the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. But what is the Quranic hijab? It is this extra layer of curtain, right? Whereas what these people try to say is that the hijab, meaning how we understand it, which is the khimar and jilbab, is only for the wives of the Prophet. And this is wallahi foolishness that shows a complete ignorance of the Quran. It's so explicit. يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين. Tell your wives and your daughters and the believing women, يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن. They should all cover themselves with a jilbab. This is in the Quran. The word jilbab and the word khimar as well. That all believing women, وَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى all believing women, including the wives of the Prophet ﷺ.
Hijab, all the differences, additional opinions aside, the minimum is the hair to be covered, and of a loose cloth that covers the front, the chest of the woman in a loose way. The jilbab is the second item of clothing, and by the way, the hijab, the Quranic term for that is khimar. Khimar. Khimar comes from the word khamr, and the word khamr literally means to cover something. From it also comes the word, khamr is also the word for alcohol. Why? Because it covers your intellect. You can't think straight. Which is a beautiful word, because then people ask, is beer okay? Because I'm not drinking wine. Khamr means wine. Anything that overshadows your intellect, in the least bit, is khamr automatically. So it takes care of that issue. But regardless, khimar means something that covers. And that's for the top garment.
And Aisha would wear a khimar, and she would wear a jilbab, but she would also have a hijab.